73733. The sports world keeps spinning and the local conversation continues. Now, Hacker After Dark on 1010XL.
And a very good Tuesday evening to you, Jacksonville. It is Hacker After Dark, 1010XL 92.5 FM with Dylan Denmark. The Hacker Ryan Green with you. Glad you have stayed up late with us. Our late night show every Tuesday, 10 until midnight. Boy, what a way to begin tonight's show. Trae Young, just a dagger from about 4 feet behind the three-point line up there at the TD Garden in Boston as Atlanta, their season stays alive. They defeat the Boston Celtics 119-117. Boston now leads that series 3-2. They have to go back to Atlanta now for a game 6 in a couple of nights. Why does that mean anything for Boston? Well, they're still in firm control of the series, but they're going to play the Philadelphia 76ers. The 76ers, who swept the Brooklyn Nets, are just at home twiddling their thumbs now, waiting for their opponent. Boston was hoping to close this out tonight. Not so fast. Trae Young, 38 points, including the game-winning three-pointer. So now Boston and Atlanta have to go back to Atlanta for game 6, and Philadelphia will just be hanging out waiting for the winner of that series. Denver and Minnesota also going on in the NBA playoffs. Denver looking to eliminate the Timberwolves tonight. That game 41-41 in the second quarter. Denver leads that series 3-1. But mostly tonight, it's going to be all football. We got some high school football. We got some college football. And, of course, we have NFL football with the draft now less than 48 hours away. The guest lineup looks like this. In hour number 1, J.P. Shadrick, Jaguars.com. He is going to join us in about 20 minutes or so. We'll talk Jaguar offseason and look ahead to this weekend's NFL draft with J.P. Shadrick. He comes up in about 20 minutes. And the high school spotlight tonight will go down to St. Johns County. Here in the 10 o'clock hour, Brian Braddock, the head coach of St. Augustine High School. The Yellow Jackets get on the field for spring football in a little over a week. We'll talk a little high school ball with Brian Braddock, the head coach of the St. Augustine Yellow Jackets. All that in hour number 1. In hour number 2, John Shipley of Jaguar Report and Brent Beard will stop by for the very latest in the world of college football. But as we do every night to kick it off, here on Hacker After Dark, we do give you a big deal of the night and Dylan Denmark. Let's do that right now.
Time now for the big deal of the night.
What's the big deal? What is the big deal?
No big deal. It is a big deal.
On Hacker After Dark.
So Walker Little, Jaguar offensive tackle Walker Little, was on XL Primetime earlier today here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM. And I want to play a couple of these sound bites because I got some reaction to them. Walker Little was asked earlier today on XL Primetime if he has been told whether he will play right tackle this upcoming season.
We haven't really talked at all about, where guys are starting, where we're going to be placed, or anything like that. Right now, it's really just getting back with the team, figuring out, the playbook again for some of the new guys, and for some of us who were here last year, just refreshing ourselves back on the playbooks. And next week we'll be able to get on the field and start moving around a little more with the coaches and really just building a lot of camaraderie with the team right now is more so the focus.
It's a good dodge of the question, right? Dodgeball. It's a good answer, but a non-answer. So Walker Little also was asked today if he would rather play left tackle or right tackle in 2023.
Yeah, I just want an opportunity to be able to play. I think that's what any player wants on our team, and I'll get that chance in training camp, and hopefully I can play well, improve myself, and earn a starting spot. But nothing's going to be given to anyone on this team. Everyone's going to have to go out there and earn their spot, especially anyone who gets to be one of the starters. I'm just trying to focus on getting better myself and preparing myself for another long season, hopefully. And we're working towards having a end up in the Super Bowl, which would be a blessing for all of us.
Jaguar offensive tackle Walker Little earlier today on XL Primetime. All right, I have changed my tone when it comes to the Jaguars in the next 48 hours with their first-round draft pick. If it were me, do I think this will happen? I don't know, but I'm just strictly talking about if it were me, I would keep Walker Little at left tackle. And here's why. Cam Robinson is almost assuredly not going to be here in 2024. He is due an astronomical cap figure in 2024. They would save money by releasing him. And if you notice, all the contracts that got restructured by Trent Baalke and the Jaguars this offseason, Cam Robinson's contract was not one of them. So here's my concern about flip-flopping Walker Little. You competed at right tackle last year with Jawaan Taylor in training camp. Didn't work out. Then Cam Robinson goes down. He goes to left tackle, plays very well. So now are you going to go throw him in at right tackle for 2023, knowing Cam Robinson's probably gone in 2024, and then you throw him back at left tackle in 2024? I don't like that. If you want Walker Little to thrive, if you want Walker Little to be worth that second-round draft pick that the Jaguars invested in him in 2021, Walker Little needs to be your left tackle. And if Cam Robinson doesn't like it, I'm sorry. You're coming off another season-ending injury. That's your second one of your career. You're coming into, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. This will be year number 7 for you in the NFL. Odds are you're not going to be here in 2024. You're going to be my right tackle. Now, can Cam Robinson play right tackle? Well, I think you have to ask the same question about Walker Little. Can Walker Little play right tackle? He got beat out in training camp by Jawaan Taylor. And in 2023, I believe he played like 15 snaps at right tackle in the Dallas game when Jawaan Taylor got injured. And then Cam Robinson got hurt in the exact same game. So Jawaan came back in and Walker slid out to left, and that's where he was for the remainder of the year. So it's not as much can Cam Robinson play right tackle, because I've heard that question a bunch. You have to ask the same thing about Walker Little. But to me, Walker Little is going to be your left tackle of the future. If you know Cam Robinson's not going to be here in 2024, and he's entering his final year as a Jaguar, then why, after Walker played well at left tackle to end last season, why would you move him to right tackle in 2023 with the knowledge that you got to move him right back to left tackle in 2024? To me, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense. So, and based on Walker Little's answers, by the way, today on Primetime, what he didn't say I thought was telling. Well, we really haven't talked about positions. Oh, really? Because everybody on 1010XL, myself included, has been of the thinking that Walker's the right tackle, Cam Robinson's the left tackle. Well, apparently, on the 25th day of April, they haven't told Walker Little that yet, which I found pretty interesting. So, I would have Walker Little play left tackle, and I would move Cam Robinson to right. And I would draft O'Cyrus Torrence on Thursday night. And no, this is not a Gator Homer thing. I'm not wearing orange and blue goggles. Let me tell you my line of thinking. You need an upgrade over Ben Bartch and Tyler Shatley at left guard in 2023. You play O'Cyrus Torrence at left guard in 2023. So to me, your offensive line, Little, Torrence, Fortner, Sheriff, Robinson. I'd go to battle with that. And then, here's the kicker. There are a lot of scouts that believe O'Cyrus Torrence could play right tackle in the NFL. There are a lot of people that you talk to that believe O'Cyrus Torrence has the capability to play right tackle. Maybe not left tackle, but right tackle. So you get where I'm going here? You play Torrence at left guard in 2023 while Little remains your left tackle. And then when Cam Robinson leaves, or you cut him before the 2024 season, you guessed it, You slide O'Cyrus Torrence out to right tackle. And then you have your bookend tackles for maybe the next 6, 7, 8 years. Walker Little on the left side, O'Cyrus Torrence on the right side. I'm not drafting Torrence on Thursday night, number 24 overall, to not play this year. That's why I'm playing him at guard. Other people have done that and done that well. I'm not saying O'Cyrus Torrence is Jonathan Ogden, but remember, Jonathan Ogden played guard his first year before he moved to tackle. Get your best 5 on the field. So draft Torrence, keep Little at left, put Torrence at left guard, put Cam Robinson at right tackle for 2023. And in 2024, when salary issues make you release Cam Robinson, then you slide O'Cyrus Torrence out to right tackle, and then, of course, you have to figure out the interior at that point, but that'll be a problem that you work on a year from now. That's what I want to do. That's where I'm at. I would then go corner in round 2, because I think you got to have a corner. It's a deep corner class, so I would go corner in round 2, and then once you get into round 3, maybe an edge rusher, maybe a tight end. But I told you guys this last night. If I take an edge rusher in round 3, I'm still going out to try to sign Frank Clark, Leonard Floyd, Justin Houston, Jadeveon Clowney, one of these veteran defensive linemen. So my perfect scenario, Torrence in round 1, a corner in round 2, edge rusher in round 3, but you also sign a veteran after the draft, and then maybe with those 2 picks in round 4, you get a tight end, and then at that point, you just go best available. That's where I'm at. Walker Little, to me, I'm not playing musical chairs with the guy. What sense does it make after he started? How many games did he start last year at left tackle? So he came in the Dallas game, right? So that would mean he started the Jets game. That would mean he started the Texans game. That would mean he started the Chargers game. And that would mean he started the Chiefs game. So he started 4 games for you at left tackle last year. So why would you put him back out at right, a position that he's probably not as good at? I think anybody will tell you Walker Little's probably better on the left side. Why would you put him out at right in 2023 knowing Cam Robinson's probably gone and you're going to have to move him right back to the left side in 2024? That, to me, does not make any sense. And based on, again, Walker Little saying today on XL Primetime, have you been told you're playing right tackle? Oh, they really haven't told us anything. Oh, really? April the 25th. And they haven't told you where you're playing yet? To me, that's interesting, man. I like the idea of playing Walker at left, playing Cam at right, drafting Torrence, and then when Cam leaves in 2024, you move Torrence to right tackle. 641-1010 on the phone line and on the text line, designed by Lifetime Enclosures. Roy Robertson Harris earlier today was on the Frangie Show. Thrilled that Roy Robertson Harris is back in the fold. Remember, Roy Robertson Harris, along with Rayshawn Jenkins, along with Jamal Agnew, there was legitimate conversation that those 3 guys may be salary cap casualties. Well, no, they're all 3 here, and Roy Robertson Harris got a contract extension, right? A 3-year extension, so he's going to be here for some time. Again, he was on the Frangie Show earlier today, looking forward to 2023, and he also had a message to you, the fans of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Everybody just has the right mindset. We just want to win games. The city wants us to win, and, the city's behind us, and that's what I really appreciate, too, especially those last 2 home games. I don't know if you guys got the privilege of being at those last 2 home games.
Yeah.
But it was something amazing, and I'm looking forward to this season. So all the fans that's listening, I want that that first home game better look like that playoff game against LA. So I'm excited, though. It's gonna be a fun year.
It will be a fun year. We're going to talk more about this when the schedule comes out next month. It is one of the best home schedules the Jaguars will ever have. It is legitimately one of the best home schedules the Jaguars will ever have. Depending on what game gets moved to London, right? So we'll see. But Kansas City is going to be here. Cincinnati is going to be here. San Francisco is going to be here. You know, obviously, Tennessee and Indianapolis and Houston. And then you're scheduled to also have Carolina and Atlanta. Now, one of those games will be moved to London. It won't be Kansas City, I don't think, because they're already playing a game over there. So they're not going to play 2 games over there. And for the life of me, I can't imagine the NFL sending Jaguars Bengals to London. Burrow and Lawrence, that's not going to happen. And I would doubt they send 49ers Jaguars to London. My hope is that it's either Atlanta or Carolina, because you'd like your division games to be here in Jacksonville. But the fact that Mahomes comes in here and Burrow comes in here and the Niners come in here and maybe the number 1 pick in the draft in Carolina comes in here, it's a great home schedule, man. Be a lot of fun in 2023. There is no question about it. The draft is less than 48 hours away. I told you what I would do. Osiris Torrance, that's my guy. That is where I'm going. Had a revelation today after listening to that Walker Little interview. Let's talk with JP Shadrick, Jaguars.com, about the Jaguar offseason and about what lies ahead this weekend for the Jaguars in the NFL Draft. With Dylan Denmark, the hacker Ryan Green with you. It's our late night show on a Tuesday, 10 to midnight. Are you kidding me? Where else would you rather be at 10:16 East Coast time right now than listening to Hacker After Dark? And we certainly appreciate you doing so. JP Shadrick, Jaguars.com next, here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM.
I'm Brad Meester.
I'm Sean McDonough.
On 1010XL, 1010XL, 92.5 FM.
People ask me, how do I get into broadcasting? They'll say something like, I love sports radio, but I don't know where to start. How do I get experience if no one will give me a chance? Well, 1010XL is partnering with the Broadcasters and Sportscasters Mentoring Group to offer on-air broadcast training to a select few. To find out how you could be mentored by someone from 1010XL, go to getintobroadcasting.com. Getintobroadcasting.com.
Hey Jacksonville, I'm sure by now you've seen our bright green GFL trucks and containers throughout the greater Jacksonville area. We are an industry leader in solid waste and would love the opportunity to earn your business. We are committed to customer service, reliability, and have unwavering focus on safety. Whether commercial or construction, let us haul your waste away. Call 904-760-5880 to get a quote today. GFL, green for life.
Hey there, all you sports dads rocking the best dad bod possible. We love seeing you eat tacos by the handful, and we love it when you bring your kids here too. For years, Lucy claimed that her favorite thing on the menu was sopapillas, the big scoop of ice cream. I know that's not a taco, but that never stopped her. I was shooting for Dad of the Year anyway, so I just let it happen. Taco Lou's a great place to bring the family. There's something for everyone, as long as it starts with a taco. And a margarita for mom is always a good thing. At Taco Lou in Jacksonville Beach.
I'm Dr. Mitchell Yass, the most unknown world-renowned expert on pain elimination. That's right, elimination. If you've tried medications, injections, physical therapy, chiropractic, even surgery, and still experience pain, then say yes to Yass. I have successfully used the Yass method for over 30 years to help thousands reclaim their lives. To learn more, call me at 904-906-YASS. Let's end your pain and say yes to Yass.
Play on the edge. Stand on the edge. The Amateur's Edge. Get the Amateur's Edge. Powered by B3 Better. To learn the hidden path of top pros, amateurs, and coaches. Saturday mornings at 11 on 1010XL.
There is so much I love about spring. Mia here. It's hard to choose a favorite. Kind of like the amazing used selection you'll find at Arlington Toyota Pre-Owned. I'm talking 400 premium pre-owned on the lot. So to make your decision a little easier, you get 30 days to love your purchase or exchange it for one that you do. And with a 4.7 out of 5-star rating and over 16,000 Google reviews, you know my friends at Arlington are going to help you pick the best ride for you. Arlington Toyota Pre-Owned, 10939 Atlantic Boulevard, and online at arlingtontoyota.com.
Instant Key
Keys specializes in replacement of lost, stolen, or broken keys and remotes. Serving the First Coast for over 20 years, Instant Keys provides expert service for nearly every foreign and domestic vehicle, including most luxury models. So don't be intimidated by today's high-tech automotive keys. At Instant Keys, you get dealership-level service at a fraction of the time and cost without the dealership hassle. For honest, professional locksmith service, call Instant Keys today, 722-1111.
This is Hayes Carline for Kingfish Pest Control. Look, warmer weather now means mosquito, flea, and tick season is here. These pests are out for blood, but you don't have to let them win. Protect your home and family with Kingfish Pest Control. As a Kingfish customer myself, I know their products are safe for kids and pets. Plus, with a 100% satisfaction guarantee, you can relax knowing your yard is pest-free. Call today, mention the Jags to receive 10% off your initial service. That's Kingfish Pest Control, proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Okay, for this Cannons of Jacksonville commercial, we need an idea to really come out with a bang.
Like having a guy shot out of a cannon.
Nah, too messy. In fact, Cannons is known for all your towing needs.
So like my car won't start.
No. Towing products. Cannons does custom welding fabrication and installation of trailer hitches, goosenecks, tow bars, truck racks.
So you might say Cannons is my best shot at finding that inventory in stock?
Boom. You said it.
Visit cannonsofjacks.com.
Hayes Carline here, and let's talk of getting rid of pain with QC Kinetics. Get lasting relief from joint pain without surgery or drugs. QC Kinetics has clinics in Ponte Vedra and in Mandarin on San Jose. Call 904-274-5522. They've taken it to a whole new level with new medical director, Dr. Peter Atch, a renowned triple board certified doctor with decades of experience. Look, if you're tired of living with pain in your back, hips, shoulders, knees, don't let anyone tell you surgery is your only option. Call QC Kinetics for a free consultation. Call 904-274-5522. Learn how advanced regenerative medicine can get you real relief. Don't go under the knife. Don't deal with downtime. QC Kinetics takes the healing properties from your own body, concentrates them, and puts them into your affected joint to repair and restore the damaged tissue. QC Kinetics, call 904-274-5522.
This 1010XL 92.5 FM hour is powered by Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. Call 1-800-747-FREE. That's 1-800-747-3733. It's Hacker After Dark on 1010XL. Now, another interview on the Farah and Farah phone line. Brought to you by the accident attorneys at Farah and Farah.
Back here on 1010XL at 92.5 FM in the city of Jacksonville. We are glad you are with us. And just like that, here we are. The NFL Draft, Thursday, the 27th of April. We are inside of a week away. Of course, the Jaguars own the 24th pick. They have 9 selections in total. And, oh, by the way, the Jaguar offseason program began this week as they are back to work getting ready for the 2023 season. With that, let's head down to TIAA Bank Field. Our man JP Shadrick, Jaguars.com. You also hear him on Jaguars Radio, and he's always kind enough to join us here on 1010XL. JP, how are you, man?
Doing great, Hacker, man. It is a little anticlimactic, I must say, picking 24th, but I think I can get used to this. That means the team was pretty good the year before. It's funny not to have to worry or talk a whole lot about exactly who you're going to pick at number 1 overall. So let's get used to this for a while. That would be nice.
Yeah, there's no question. Much rather be picking 24th than be picking first. The ultimate goal, of course, is to be picking 32nd, and that's what the Jaguars are attempting to do in 2023. All right, I haven't talked to you basically since free agency began, JP. So if you take a mile-up view, there was some people that left, some people that came in, a franchise tag, and a reinstated player. When you look at it in totality, how would you assess the Jaguar offseason so far?
Well, I think the Jaguar offseason is much different than the past 2-3 off seasons because they didn't have a whole lot of free agency money to throw around. So that wasn't going to be the plan to begin with. But if you count, and you should count the trade of Calvin Ridley back in November, when he got reinstated, that counts. He's a new player coming in 2023, and Evan Ingram coming back on the franchise tag, and just hearing Trent Baalke talk about it the other day at the media lunch, and, it feels like that's going to get done somehow, some way. Either way, he's going to play this season. So, hey, your top tight end who had franchise records in catches and yardage and touchdowns, or not touchdowns, but receptions and yardage for tight ends. And then Calvin Ridley, a guy who is just he feels like he can be a number one receiver in the league, if not better than he was before. And the guys you have coming back, in the running game too. I mean, this is building the right way. This is a really good offseason. I think that it's not going to be the flashy free agency offseason like before, like we said. But for what they had planned, I don't think you could have, planned it out any better. And so far, so good. I mean, we're a week into the offseason program, but to hear Ridley talk and to hear Evan Ingram, want to be here and the whole thing, that's two big steps in this offseason.
I want to get to Ridley in a moment because I was unbelievably impressed by his press conference earlier this week. The way I look at it, and tell Jaguar fans, JP, that are concerned about Arden Key and Jawan Taylor and the guys that left, look, as great as Arden Key was, he played 41% of the defensive snaps. I mean, that's the reality of the situation. You look at the 22 guys that started that game in Kansas City, 90 days ago, right? 13 weeks ago tomorrow. And 21 of those 22 guys are going to be back here in Jacksonville. The one defection is Jawan Taylor, the one starter anyway. But that doesn't take into account Cam Robinson, Ben Barch, and Calvin Ridley that were not on the field in Kansas City. So I don't know how people say that the Jaguars are worse off. I don't see it that way at all. If nothing else, JP, they're as good, if not a little bit better than they were when they left that field at Arrowhead.
Who's worried about Arden Key leaving?
Well,
that's where I'm at.
He did help build the city, JP.
I mean, he's a good veteran player. He was here for a short time, and that's fine. And those guys, you can find those guys. Like, you're supposed to be able to find that type of player and have veteran especially defensive line players that come through. I think the loss of him, yes, he was a good player in key moments late last season, and you can't underestimate that. That was a big deal for this team. But I think it's overblown. Any of that is overblown. You can find that type of player. You should be able to, at least in free agency somewhere else in the NFL or somewhere on your roster already. Maybe somebody steps up into that role. And then the right tackle thing, yes. Jawan Taylor played very well last year. It was a contract year for him, draft pick here. You wanted to make it work out, but just financially, come on. The guy got $20 million a year or whatever he got to play left tackle in Kansas City. You're not going to match that. You're not going to come close to that. And this is where the drafting of Walker Little comes in. So, hey, if Walker's your guy, hey, either jump in at right tackle or, do you want to compete at left and see if you're going to move Cam around, Cam Robinson? I'm not a huge fan of that idea just because you paid Cam Robinson to be a left tackle. But you have Walker Little there in your back pocket. If you're not as comfortable with him for some reason, I don't know why you wouldn't be. Down the stretch, he played really well at left tackle especially. Then, hey, go draft a guy. So, and then they got in free agency just a little while ago, a guy who can play swing. So there you go. I mean, they've got it. They can roll out a ball right now, Hacker, and be comfortable playing. And I think that's the goal going into every draft, right? You don't have to draft a guy and have him start tomorrow. Like that's a difficult position to put the rookie in and the team in. So the goal is if they rolled a ball out, in May and said, hey, it's week one, magically, okay, we can play. And that's the idea.
The interesting thing, in JP Shadrick, Jaguars.com, Jaguars Radio here with us, even with the loss of Jawan Taylor, you bring in Josh Wells, you bring in Chandler Brewer from the Rams. I don't know how many NFL teams can say this. By my count, JP, the Jaguars have 8 offensive linemen that started at least 4 games in the NFL in 2022. I don't know if that means anything, but that seems like an awful lot of guys that played an awful lot of football in that Jaguar O-line room.
Yeah, it's not a bad thing, and especially when you have your going into his third-year quarterback, you want guys who are experienced up there blocking for him, right? You don't want to have them run around and get hit. I mean, ask Andrew Luck what that feels like. That's not ideal. Football. So protect your investment. You're going to make a really big investment in the quarterback position, hopefully, if things go well this year and beyond. So, yes, go get some of those guys who have played a lot of football, who understand it, who are grown men, And I think you can step in right now. Now, that's not to say they won't draft one. You know, they still could do that, Hacker, like you said. But experience matters, especially in the offensive line. Grown man strength really matters on the offensive line.
JP, you've been in that press conference room for over a decade down there at the stadium. When I was watching and listening to Calvin Ridley earlier this week, first off, just unbelievably impressed. And second, I mean, outside of Jalen Ramsey, I guess he's the only guy I could really think of. When Calvin Ridley stood at that podium and said, look, I'm a great football player. I mean, that's Stephon Diggs-esque in Buffalo. That's Travis Kelce-esque in Kansas City. The Jaguars haven't had that moxie, that whatever you want to call it, cachet. And for Calvin Ridley, some people call it arrogance. I thought it was refreshing to hear a Jacksonville Jaguar in a setting like that, although I do believe he was also humble in what he was saying, look, I was a 1,400-yard receiver with a broken foot. Imagine what I could do healthy now. The sky, to me, is the limit for Calvin Ridley in this offense.
Yeah, I think you need to separate anything between Calvin Ridley and Jalen Ramsey's moxie. Like, it's a totally different world what Ramsey was going after, right? Like, that's a totally different animal. It felt, at least the first time being around Calvin the other day, that he was genuine about it. I mean, the guy missed football. He loved football. He breathed football for almost his entire life until, he was hurt and left after week 5 2 seasons ago, and then was kicked out of the game last year. And, that can pull on you, and there was a lot going on around him, and it's all settled down, it sounds like. So that's a good thing. And I love that quote, the one you mentioned there, the end of it. That was, for me, the money quote of the whole thing was, all these people are talking about, can I perform? Well, I mean, why can't I be better? You don't know what I've been doing for the last year. I might be a better receiver. I might be faster. I might be stronger. And I like that approach. That tells you it means something to him, and he's going to be out to prove something. And certainly he should be. It's year 5. It's a contract year for him. If he puts together a big year this year, guess what? The paycheck's coming again for Calvin. So he understands that too, I think. But yeah, I mean, a little different moxie than Jalen had. Jalen was in your face about it, didn't care. It was not bashful about any of that. Calvin at least understood that, hey man, I know I'm good. I know I have a certain standard, and this is what the standard should be, not just for me, but I think for the rest of the team.
Jaguars.com is where you find JP Shadrick, also Jaguars Radio, and it never ceases to amaze me the work you guys do on the website when putting together those video and those little shows. The Hunt debuted, I guess, last week, and it was, again, phenomenal. You guys do such a great job with that. But clearly, when you guys were putting that together and you guys watched the first 20 seconds, you knew what the story was going to be, and that was Trent Baalke having that clown figurine on his desk as a reminder and proving people wrong, a motivation for the Jaguar general manager. To me, JP, it's the first time he's really talked about it in any, setting publicly. But you can tell it affected him, and you can tell he uses it as motivation. And, again, the Hunt was a great thing. You guys are going to have many more episodes coming out. But I thought it was really telling that Baalke kind of went public with that for the first time.
Yeah, you're right. It was the first time, I think, that's been out there that he's addressed anything around something like that, at least on that scale, right? And, good for him, man, because it's been a rocky road here, man. There's been a lot of change. He was here as the kind of the second in charge, and then the change happened with Caldwell, and here comes Baalke into the thing, and here comes Urban, and there's a lot of chaos and stuff going on, and then another change. I mean, it's been constant change. So, he's been able, at least so far, to keep his head about him and try the best he can to deliver great players and a great roster to this team. And you can't argue with what's happened the last year or so, especially. Free agent guys last year were unbelievable, obviously, guys. Those guys played outstanding football for the most part last season. The wide receivers certainly, and then Luka, and those are the big 3 of that free agency class, and they all stood out. So you got to give him a lot of credit for getting those guys in the building. And then the draft picks, some of those guys need to develop a little bit, but hey, they're in the building now, and they've got time to do that. And, that's the next step. That's what Doug Peterson talked about too, right? I mean, they need some more pass rush, but we believe in the guys in this room. That's Trayvon Walker, who was the number 1 pick. That's Devin Lloyd in some instances, most likely, as well, who was another first-round pick. Those are Baalke draft picks. So Yeah, so give him some credit. And, he's fighting through it and getting players in here, and they put together a good playoff run last year. It's now just about sustaining that moving ahead. It's not a 1 year and done, hopefully, and like 2017 was. That collapsed. Can't have a collapse, or it's going to be the same thing that happened in 2017. So he understands that, I believe, and he's been around the league long enough to understand what sustained success feels like. He saw it firsthand in San Francisco for a little bit. So maybe they're on the right track now.
Final moments here with JP Shadrick. JP, I want to end with the draft and what you guys have coming up next week on Jaguars.com. Before we get there, you're in that building every day, man. It's interesting because, look, on Thanksgiving, the Jaguars were 4-8, all right? And it seemed like it was same old, same old. And now here we are 5 months later, and there will not be a publication that comes out predicting, playoffs or whatnot that doesn't have the Jaguars winning the AFC South. I mean, the transformation has been very positive for Jacksonville, but I think it speaks volumes to the rest of the division. And, JP, I think there's a very good chance next Thursday night you could potentially have 2 or even all 3 other division rivals taking quarterbacks very, very early.
There's no doubt, and that changed in a hurry, right? I mean, we know Houston for a little bit, but the Colts, they had some veteran guys in there. None of those guys worked out like they planned it. Tennessee's been a run-oriented group, but let's see how long that really lasts in the long run. The Jaguars finally slayed that dragon last year, and maybe they've cracked the code on that, right? That would be nice to see, and so who knows about the future of the quarterback position there too. That's what happens when you have some success, right? Other teams try to figure out how to match you, and hey, it was so successful last year. In certain parts, they had some things they fell short on. Yes, we'll be the first to admit that. But they've got the quarterback. They've got returning weapons on offense. They're adding a couple pieces there. The defense can get a little better. That's almost really what they need to do. They don't need to be a shutdown 2000 Ravens defense hacker. They just need to take the ball away a little bit more, set up this group. Yeah, they'll give up a couple touchdowns, but if you get some turnovers in key moments, you can keep this team in a game. I think that's the goal on defense. It should be, at least in my opinion, because this offense is going to pump points and yardage all season long. So the rest of the division is now playing catch-up, which is okay. It's April. We're saying that. Let's see it on the field September and October. And see what happens there. That's the real proof of what happened this offseason. But it's a good feeling, I'll tell you that, Hacker, to be kind of on the top of the AFC South for now. But it never ends, right? I mean, there's always teams getting better. There's always free agency. There's always a draft. There's always ways for teams to improve. The balance of the league is unlike really any other. So you better get it while you can, because it might not last forever.
All right, JP, next Thursday night, the 27th, number 24 in round 1. Of course, 9 picks in total for Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. When it comes to draft coverage, what can people look forward to over on Jaguars.com?
Well, I mean, Hacker, we've got it all, man. Like, we're all over the board. We got radio, we got podcasts, we've got video on the website, we've got social media content. It's all week long. Starts early in the week. We'll have a Huddle Up podcast on Tuesday this week. Wednesday, we'll have Drive Time. We'll be in Daly's Place Wednesday. And then, of course, Thursday night, Happy Hour Radio at 4 o'clock. And then a pre-draft video show on the social media pages and the website before 8 o'clock to get you ready for the draft. I'll have the last word right before the draft with General Manager Trent Baalke and get his thoughts about everything going on that day, leading into it, his comfort level going into now his, third draft with the Jaguars. He's been here for a few years now. So we'll get that going on. Of course, we'll be live after every single pick on the team website immediately after instant analysis. Assistant coaches will come by. We'll have everything for you all weekend long, not just Thursday, but Friday for the second and third round and the rest on Saturday as well. So we're fired up, man.
It's a busy time of year. The draft happens, and then you blink, and the Jaguars will be on the field for OTAs in the very near future. JP Shadrick, Jaguars.com and Jaguars Radio. JP, appreciate the time, my friend. We'll talk again soon.
Hacker, good talking to you, man. Have a good one.
What are you doing here?
Radio.
1010XL.
That's how you spell it.
1010XL. 1010XL.
Meet Joe A, Joe B, and Joe C.
What's up?
3 everyday Joes perfecting their banking with Chase. Joe A is locking his lost debit card with the Chase mobile app. Joe B is cruising toward his new ride with AutoSave. And Joe C's Chase banker is helping him budget to go back to school. Tools that help protect. Support for what's next. One bank that puts you in control. Visit chase.com/checking. Chase. Make more of what's yours.
Chase mobile app is available for select mobile devices. Messaging and data rates may apply. JP Morgan Chase Bank, N.A. member FDIC.
Big Brothers Big Sisters is teaming up with the NFL to inspire change. From now to draft day, Big Brothers Big Sisters is following the NFL draft, aiming to recruit potential bigs. Hi, I'm Brent from the 1010 sales team. I'm committed as a mentor, and we need you to step up and become a mentor too. There's a waiting list of more than 50 children hoping for a mentor. It's just a few hours a month. Be a mentor. Become a big. Visit bbsnefl.org. Be a mentor or visit Big Brothers Big Sisters and click on Big Draft.
Here's your 1010XL First Coast Community Calendar.
The Green Beret Charity Golf Tournament at the Golf Club of Southampton is May 12th. To learn more, search the Green Beret Golf Tournament at Southampton.
Help support the amazing work of Catholic Charities while you have a great day on the golf course at the Transforming Lives Golf Tournament at St. John's Country Club, May 12th. Get tickets at ccbsaintaug.org.
The annual Wolfson Children's Hospital Bass Tournament is May 18th through the 20th. Register at wolfsonsbasstournament.com.
City Rescue Mission provides life-changing support for the homeless. Find ways to get involved at crmjax.org.
The Tom Coughlin J Fund helps families battling childhood cancer, and there are ways you can help. Go to tcjfund.org.
If you're involved in a community event and you'd like us to help spread the word, find out how at 1010XL.com.
The IRS has just received $80 billion in funding to hire additional agents for aggressive collections enforcement. If you owe the IRS, now is the time to take action before the IRS comes after you or your business. There's no time to waste. Call J. David Tax Law, a firm right here in Jacksonville, for a no-cost consultation at 904-507-4777. That's 904-507-4777. Or visit jdavidtaxlaw.com. Peace of mind is only a click or phone call away.
This Date in Sports History is brought to you by Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
On April 25th, 1974, the NFL moves the goalpost from goal line to the end lines to avoid game interference. They also adopt the sudden death playoff.
Servicing every customer like they're famous. But what does that mean for you? It comes down to the famous philosophy. You'll find a consistency at all 20 locations in friendly service, honest pricing, and realistic time expectations. They know when you find someone you trust to maintain your vehicle, keep it running right, and lasting longer, you'll stick with them. And that's the famous philosophy at Famous Automotive in Quick Lube. Ask about a fleet account for your business.
Jacksonville has some junk, and J-Dog is removing it. They're here to do the dirty work. You don't want to remove and dispose of large furniture or appliances yourself? Call J-Dog. Here now, proudly serving you, removing junk from your home or business. They can even handle small demolition projects, and they're still donating local items to veterans in need. So let J-Dog do the dirty work for you. J-Dog Junk Removal. Veteran-owned and operated. JDog.com.
Coming through in the clutch. David Garrard for Clearwater Seamless Gutters. You all know Clearwater installed my sprinklers, but recently John Haney's Clearwater Gutter Division installed beautiful 6-inch seamless gutters for my home in Jacks Beach, and they work great.
Dave, that's awesome to hear. Now jump in. We're fixing to sing. Clearwater Irrigation. We can't sing a lick, but we sure are good at sprinklers.
And drainage too.
Head and neck cancers are quite common, but often go undetected until later stages. If you have lumps or bumps in your mouth or sores in your throat or difficulty swallowing, get screened for head and neck cancer with AckermanCancerCenter.com.
Need cash? Beaches Jewelry and Pawn has cash available. Ready to buy guitars, surfboards, jewelry, firearms, tools, and especially gold. They need it all. Selling or pawning, get cash on the spot at Beaches Jewelry and Pawn in Jacksonville Beach.
Mark Watson with Hardball Creative.
with answers to the questions I'm asked the most. Yes, we are local, and no, I'm not hiring an actor to read these commercials. Check us out at hardballcreative.com.
Hardball Creative. Hardball does it all.
Summer is grilling season. Don't pay ridiculous prices at your local grocer. Check out the folks at Houston's Meats. Located on Main Street just north of 295, Houston's is always carrying quality meats at incredible prices. Only at Houston's Meats.
This 1010XL 92.5 FM hour is powered by Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. Call 1-800-747-FREE. That's 1-800-747-3733. It's Hacker After Dark on 1010XL.
Brian Braddock, the head coach of the St. Augustine Yellow Jackets, coming up just in a moment. Also in the 11 o'clock hour, John Shipley of Jaguar Report as we will look ahead to the Jaguar draft on Thursday night. They own the 24th pick in round number 1. Later on in the 11 o'clock hour, Brent Beard. College football, some rule changes. The clock will no longer stop on first downs unless it's under 2 minutes in the second quarter or the fourth quarter. They're trying to speed the game up. We'll talk about that. And is the SEC seriously considering penalizing programs whose fans storm the field after big wins by taking away a future home football game? Is that a thing? The rumor that's out there. We'll talk about all that with Brent Beard coming up in the 11 o'clock hour. I do want to tell you in the NBA playoffs tonight, great game that ended about a half an hour ago. Atlanta's season continues. Trae Young, a three-pointer, about 5 feet behind the three-point line with 2 seconds to go. Atlanta over Boston, 119-117. Celtics lead that series now 3-2. They go back to Atlanta for Game 6. Minnesota trying to keep their season alive. Denver leads that series 3-1. But the Timberwolves up 72-67, 4 minutes to go in the third quarter. And the Clippers, a 40-38 lead on Phoenix, 9 minutes to go until halftime. The Clippers looking to keep their season alive. Phoenix, a 3-1 lead in that series. In the National Hockey League earlier tonight, the New York Islanders stayed alive with a 3-2 victory over Carolina. Carolina leads that series 3-2. Dallas shuts out Minnesota 4-0. The Stars take a 3-2 lead in that series. And Edmonton up 3-2 over Los Angeles in the third period. That series tied at 2 games apiece. Spring football all over Northeast Florida on the high school gridiron. Starts in about a week, a little less than a week in some areas. Brian Braddock, the head coach of the St. Augustine Yellow Jackets, joins us here on the High School Spotlight.
1010XL puts the ball in play-by-play.
Kick on the way!
Impeccable today.
From way downtown. That ball's ripped.
For play-by-play, it's 1010XL.
Hard to believe that 2023 is here. I'm Kevin with Gutter Helmet and Armor Guard Exteriors. The home improvement supply chain has been sketchy at best. Our local manufacturers continue to deliver on time, from gutters to gutter protection, retractable awnings and screens, replacement windows, and glass and ice. Start your home improvement project now and receive 18 months, 0 interest, and no money down. But you have to call now, 904-906-8669.
It's time to play Septic Tank Solutions. Question 1. How often should you get your septic tank pumped? Contestant 1?
When it starts running over in the yard?
No, that's a little late. Contestant 2? That's right, Duck. At least every 3 years.
For septic pump outs, inspections, to new septic tank and drain field installations, call Northeast Florida's only master septic contractor.
When you're stuck, call the Duck. 904-862-6769.
Children under 5 die from drowning in Florida more than any other state. Together, we can reduce the risk of drowning. The YMCA has programs accessible to families that teach essential water safety skills. Face the water with confidence. Learn more at watersafetyflorida.org.
Does your home or building need painting? For over 20 years, Performance Painting has had the privilege of preserving many of Jacksonville's most prominent buildings. That said, we feel like we're just getting started. I'm Jason Parker, and our team thrives on preparing, protecting, and preserving the homes, businesses, and public buildings that make up our local landscape. Contact us today to put our years of experience to work for you. Performance Painting, Repair, protect, preserve.
Performance painting.
Hicken here. If you're looking for a winning team to clean your carpets and tile, Zero Res, #1 in the country for customer satisfaction, and they were named Franchise of the Year. No surprise to me, I've had Zero Res clean my home for years, and man, there's nothing better than coming home to a clean house by Zero Res. The smell, the look, it's awesome. Right now, get 2 rooms of carpet cleaning the staircase for $148. Savings of $30. Remember, folks, Zero Res, spell it forwards or backwards. It's the right way to clean.
Zero Res. The flagship station of the Jacksonville Jaguars. WJXL FM, Jacksonville Beach.
Are you looking for increased privacy and protection for your family and pets? Look no further than Superior Fence and Rail. Superior Fence and Rail is Jacksonville's top-rated fence company, delivering the highest quality fence products. They'll treat your property as if it's their own. So get off the fence and get your privacy back. Call Superior Fence and Rail today for your on-site estimates.
When you're on the fence, about a fence, SuperiorFenceandRail.com.
Hey guys, I'm Daniel Heilman from the brand new Fourscore Golf Tavern. We do elevated food, drinks, and golf simulator fun. If you're looking for a delicious meal or maybe a spot for a client, we have lunch specials every day. Need to entertain a few people from out of town? Easy. Just reserve one of our 4 simulator bays. Lunch service starts at 11 a.m. daily. Located in San Marcos Square, we'll see you at lunch at Fourscore Golf Tavern.
Hi, I'm Sean Monahan from Monahan Jewelers in Atlantic Beach. Monahan Jewelers is your local family jeweler for 44 years with a huge selection of GIA-certified diamonds, gold, fine gemstone, and diamond jewelry and designer brands from all over the world. With our interest-free financing, we make it easy to acquire the perfect gift. Monahan Jewelers also specializes in custom jewelry design with thousands of customers all across Jacksonville. Come experience our beautiful selection of fine jewelry at your local family jeweler, Monahan Jewelers in Atlantic Beach.
Instant Keys specializes in replacement of lost, stolen, or broken keys and remotes. Serving the First Coast for over 20 years, Instant Keys provides expert service for nearly every foreign and domestic vehicle, including most luxury models. So don't be intimidated by today's high-tech automotive keys. At Instant Keys, you get dealership-level service at a fraction of the time and cost without the dealership hassle. For honest, professional locksmith service, call Instant Keys today, 722-1111.
This is Hayes Carline for Kingfish Pest Control. Look, warmer weather now means mosquito, flea, and tick season is here. These pests are out for blood, but you don't have to let them win. Protect your home and family with Kingfish Pest Control. As a Kingfish customer myself, I know their products are safe for kids and pets. Plus, with a 100% satisfaction guarantee, you can relax knowing your yard is pest-free. Call today, mention the Jags to receive 10% off your initial service. That's Kingfish Pest Control, proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Flickering lights and hot switches can be annoying. They can also signal a major problem or electrical emergency. So leave it to the pros and Mr. Sparky.
888-8 Your on-time electrician, Mr. Sparky of the First Coast.
This 1010XL 92.5 FM hour is powered by Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. Call 1-800-747-FREE. That's 1-800-747-3733. Time now for Hackers High School Spotlight on Hacker After Dark.
To St. Johns County and the St. Augustine Yellow Jackets. They get ready for spring ball. Their head coach is Brian Braddock, and he's always kind enough to join us here on 1010XL. Coach, how we doing?
Doing well. Thanks for having me.
Coach, appreciate the time as always, my friend. And you look back on last year, the season that was for St. Augustine, some ups, some downs. When you take a look back at 2022, now that you've had some months to think about it, what are your biggest takeaways from last season?
That's a good question. Just every season's got its own life, really. Whether you're like we were last year and coming into it with extremely low level of experience, a lot of sophomores on the field, a lot of new guys in new places, or whether you bring back an experienced team, every season really takes on a life of its own, and you can't draw too many conclusions about how that's going to go in April or May or even in September to some degree. So you got to kind of make the most of what you have, and you never know. I think last year, my only regret from last year is I think by the end of the year we had the opportunity to play some really good football, and while being young. Our big challenge was avoid the whole looking to the future type of thing. And, kind of petered out at the end a little bit in our playoff loss. But, it was a unique year. A lot of young kids that stepped up, did a lot of great things, and just magnifies, like I said, that every year is truly its own monster.
Well, now some of that future has arrived, right? You talk about playing all those young guys last year where all those freshmen are now sophomores. Those sophomores are now juniors. So how much experience, or did that experience from last year, help what you're going to have here in 2023?
Yeah, I guess that's to be determined. Truthfully, I'm not gonna make too many statements about what I project, because kind of what we've been telling the kids and continue to just cram into their brains is you don't just show up your junior year and all of a sudden be a really good player because you were a pretty good player your sophomore year. It doesn't work that way. So fortunately, a lot of these young guys have had tremendous off seasons. Certainly hasn't been perfect. It's high school, and got some guys that we're still trying to get them doing the best they can do for themselves. But by and large, it's been a great off season, and a lot of those sophomores are really the guys kind of setting the pace now as they grow into juniors.
Brian Braddock is the head coach of St. Augustine High School. He joins us here on 1010XL in Jacksonville. Coach, when the season ended, how much time did you give the kids off? When did you guys start back with football-related activities? How did that sort of thing work for you?
Yeah, so when the season ends, we try to take as much off their body as we can. Obviously, it's a very physical game. So we do a lot of body weight activities in our weight room, general physical preparedness. Our strength coach does a tremendous job with that. And then we kind of ramp them back up before we get to our break at Christmas time. And then when we come back in January, it's full bore off-season strength training. And they go really, really hard, and they lift really hard for a few months. But to prepare them for that, it's really light on them for the first 4 to 6 weeks after the season ends.
Coach, when you talk about spring football, and I want to start looking ahead to 2023 now, a guy that's done this as long as you have, you've been a head coach for a long time at Mandarin, and now you've been at St. Augustine for a long time, which we'll get to in a moment. But when you think about spring ball, what are the things you want to get accomplished? If you had an A, B, and C, all right, I want to get this done in the month of May, what are those three things?
We want to develop an identity. And of course, we want that identity to be a team that plays with uncommon effort and uncommon physicality, first and foremost. We want to start developing, and really this process starts in January, but we want to broaden the sphere of influence of our dominant guys and our leaders on the team. We want that to happen through spring ball. And then we just want to fundamentally get better. We have a lot of young kids, and one task for us is don't just focus on the first group of guys, the first line of guys. A lot of these young kids, this is a great opportunity for them to fundamentally get better and grow as players. So fundamentals have to kind of drive everything, and don't become too consumed with the fact that you have to go compete at the end of spring ball. Let's just focus on fundamentals and get better as a football team.
You mentioned St. Johns County, certainly a changing of the guard in St. Johns County this offseason, the retirement of Daryl Sutherland, the battles you guys had with St. Augustine there and Bartram Trail. And if I'm not mistaken, which is kind of funny, you're still a pretty young guy, but I think you're the elder statesman in St. Johns County now as far as longevity at a certain program. I mean, what are your thoughts on the departure of Daryl Sutherland? What does that mean to the Bartram-St. Augustine rivalry, and how does it feel being, one of the more established guys now, not only in the county, but in all of Northeast Florida?
Yeah. Coach Sutherland has always been a friend to me, and a mentor of sorts. And I've been really fortunate to have some older coaches serve in that capacity in their own way. Obviously, Coach Wiles and a lot of the assistants that were on staff here for many years that were former head coaches, but Coach Sutherland's always kind of been one of those outside of our building for me. He's a good friend. Whenever I need to call him about, just the challenges of being a head football coach or ask him questions about how he would handle things, he's always been extremely gracious with me. And all of that separate from the tremendous job he did as a football coach on the field. So I'm going to miss him on a personal level greatly. And then obviously the football field, it speaks for itself. What he did I told him before our game last year, I really felt like he kind of took the mantle from Coach Wiles, and that for the longest time, the other county programs were kind of chasing what he had built. And then Daryl took Bartram Trail and made it where we were all chasing him. So I thought that was one of the biggest compliments I could give him. And we'll miss him. I'm sure Coach Johns has jumped in with both feet, and he'll do a tremendous job. That's a proud school and a proud program. But definitely going to miss Daryl over at Bartram.
It wasn't just Coach Sutherland at Bartram. Menendez had not one but 2 openings, and they had to figure out that situation. And 17 openings in total in Northeast Florida in our listening area. And, Coach, that seems to be a pretty regular occurrence every year, man. I mean, a dozen or more openings. You're certainly one of the longest tenured guys, not only in St. Johns County, but in Northeast Florida. Just what are your thoughts on the amount of coaching turnover that we seem to see every single year now?
Yeah, it's tough because there's a lot of good people that are great, mentors around kids, that are good leaders, that are good coaches, that are kind of moving on to other things. And it kind of mirrors what's happening in education on a broader sense. A lot of people are moving into other avenues. And, I don't have any answers other than I know that we are losing high quality people. And I hate to see that, because at the end of the day, that comes back to impact the kids. So, I'm fortunate to have the job I have. I love my job, and I'm excited to come to work every day, excited to coach these kids and teach my classes. But yeah, it's a rapid change. There's changes in the classroom that are taking place rapidly, and on the coaching fields. And hopefully, something will take place, or going forward, there will be some changes to just maybe, societal influences and what's valued, and keep these people in these positions. It's hard work, but it's great work. It's worthwhile work. It's meaningful. Hate to see people getting out.
Final moments here with Brian Braddock, the head coach of St. Augustine. Coach, leave us with this. St. Johns County, albeit a hugely populated county on the surface, is in the suburban aspect of things when it comes to high school football. And that was year number 1 last year of the FHSAA Metro Suburban deal. What did you think of it in year number 1, and what do you think of it moving forward?
Yeah, boy, there were a lot of opinions about that. But one thing that I think jumped out to me was the quality of the playoff games. And, I've been on the low end or the other end of the stick when you go and take your team and you play a metro area all-star team in a 3rd or 4th round playoff game. And that's tough. It's tough. When you're building a team and with the legislature the way it is, and kids can kind of go where they want in a lot of these metro areas, when you're building a team from millions of kids, the odds are with you when you're playing against somebody from a county that has tens of thousands of kids, So I thought that the numbers in the playoffs spoke for themselves. When you looked at some of those Dade County and Broward County schools and those private schools, they had battles in the 3rd, 4th, 5th rounds of the playoffs. You look at our classification, we lost by 7. The team that beat us then lost in overtime in the regional final. And then Mainland, who Bartram Trail beat during the season, lost by 1 or 2 points in our state championship game. So you look at all these teams and you're like, man, I think we can compete. So I thought the playoffs were really competitive up and down the line, and that was a positive of it.
Brian Braddock, the head coach of the St. Augustine Yellow Jackets, certainly one of the best programs in Northeast Florida. Coach, best of luck this spring, and it will not be long at all before we're talking to you once again under the Friday Night Lights. Thank you, my friend.
Yes, sir. Looking forward to it. Thank you. Appreciate you.
There you go. Brian Braddock, the head coach of St. Augustine. Denmark, you're involved with your alma mater, Baldwin football. When do you guys begin spring? And I guess what's important to get out of spring drills on the high school gridiron?
May 1st is our when we start Monday. I mean, you're just trying to get a sense of, you've seen guys in the weight room since January. So you're seeing who's improved and who's put on some, muscle since then. But just seeing who guys have developed. And knowing kind of what you have, you have a plan, but, what the plan you have for, going to the summer and then obviously in August and fall camp.
Yeah, most schools will get 2.5 weeks worth of practice and then some sort of jamboree, if you will, spring game, spring kickoff type deal. And then I guess you get June and July, and come August 1st, bam, you're into it. And I believe the first Friday night of the high school football season, I want to say, is the 25th of August. That would mean the 18th is the preseason kickoff, and the games start counting Friday night, August the 25th. Coming up in the 11 o'clock hour, 1 hour down, 1 hour to go. We're with you till midnight our late night show on a Tuesday here on Hacker After Dark. John Shipley of Jaguar Report as we take a look at the Jacksonville Jaguars, now well inside of 48 hours till the NFL Draft kicks off Thursday night, 8 o'clock out in Kansas City. So John Shipley of Jaguar Report will join us. Also Brent Beard later on in the 11 o'clock hour as we take a look at some of the SEC players that will go high on draft night. Also want to talk about two potential rule changes that could really affect the game of college football. One during the game, one after the game, and it's a fan-related issue that the SEC, at least, is trying to nip in the bud. We'll get to all that coming up in the 11 o'clock hour. With Dylan Denmark, the Hacker Ryan Green with you. Jacksonville, thank you for staying up late with us on a Tuesday. More to do here on Hacker After Dark. It's 1010XL and 92.5 FM.
Joe, I'm afraid I'll have to take your badge and gun.
Joe Cowart.
Captain, if we could just please... I don't want to discuss it.
Noon to 3 weekdays.
Hand him over.
On 1010XL.
He believes there's probable cause to believe
You're not a police officer anymore, Joe.
Meet Joe A, Joe B, and Joe C.
What's up?
3 everyday Joes perfecting their banking with Chase. Joe A is locking his lost debit card with the Chase mobile app. Joe B is cruising toward his new ride with AutoSave. And Joe C's Chase banker is helping him budget to go back to school. Tools that help protect. Support for what's next. One bank that puts you in control. Visit chase.com/checking. Chase. Make more of what's yours.
Chase mobile app is available for select mobile devices. Messaging and data rates may apply. JP Morgan Chase Bank, N.A. member FDIC.
Tobacco-Free Florida has many free ways to help you quit nicotine. From free 2-week starter kits of quit aids to free cessation services like Phone Quit and Group Quit. We're even trying out new motivational tactics.
You're the greatest quitter. He's tobacco's greatest quitter. He's tobacco's greatest quitter of all.
Or maybe we'll just stick to the ways we know work. Visit tobaccofreeflorida.com or call 1-877-YOU-CAN-NOW for free nicotine patches.
At Andy's Automotive and Truck Services, they know that your company's fleet is more than just a bunch of cars and trucks. It's your livelihood, your reputation, your pride. So when you need routine fleet maintenance or emergency repairs, Andy's offers after hours and mobile service to minimize your downtime and keep your fleet running like new. While you care for your employees and customers, rest assured Andy's Automotive will take care of your fleet. Visit the team at andysats.com.
Big Brothers Big Sisters is teaming up with the NFL to inspire change. From now to draft day, Big Brothers Big Sisters is following the NFL draft, aiming to recruit potential bigs. Hi, I'm Brent from the 1010 sales team. I'm committed as a mentor, and we need you to step up and become a mentor too. There's a waiting list of more than 50 children hoping for a mentor. It's just a few hours a month. Be a mentor. Become a big. Visit bbsnefl.org. Be a mentor or visit Big Brothers Big Sisters and click on Big Draft.
Summer is here, so while you're at the beach or on your bike, head on down to Sliders Oyster Bar in Neptune Beach, where you'll find the absolute freshest seafood in all of the 904. The biggest shrimp, the saltiest oysters, the freshest fish, all here at our newly renovated restaurant in Neptune Beach. Fresh seafood delivered daily by Safe Harbor, straight from the boat to your plate. Unique oyster specials daily, along with mixed cocktails from the bar. Come enjoy this beach vibe. Sliders Oyster Bar in Neptune Beach, locally owned by Safe Harbor Seafood.
They're the guys you want to talk hunting and fishing with. Perfect case. Captain Kevin, Captain Kirk, and Jeff Lageman.
Let's go to the woods, y'all.
On the Nimnicht Outdoor Show, presented by Duck Duck Rooter. 7 to 10 every Saturday morning on 1010XL.
Hey, it's Matt Hayes, and I said yes to Yas, Dr. Mitchell Yas, and the Yas method. Now, I know you've probably tried medications, treatments, injections, even surgery. Maybe the reason you're still in pain is because they're treating the wrong thing and not addressing the root causes. Well, I know from personal experience, this does happen. But I found the best-kept secret in pain elimination, Dr. Yas and the Yas method. Call him today, 904-906-YASS, and say yes to Yas.
The IRS
IRS has just received $80 billion in funding to hire additional agents for aggressive collections enforcement. If you owe the IRS, now is the time to take action before the IRS comes after you or your business. There's no time to waste. Call J. David Tax Law, a firm right here in Jacksonville, for a no-cost consultation at 904-507-4777. That's 904-507-4777. Or visit jdavidtaxlaw.com. Peace of mind is only a click or phone call away.
Denny Thompson here. Tyson Sound and Security is hiring salespeople right now. If you want to sell new tech security cameras or home automation, Tyson Sound and Security is looking for you. Tyson Sound and Security is hiring for sales positions, and they will train you to be successful. Apply online at TysonSoundandSecurity.com or call 762-1000. That's 762-1000. Hiring for sales positions right now. Apply online at TysonSoundandSecurity.com or call 762-1000. Equal Opportunity Employer.
Hayes Carline here, and let's talk of getting rid of pain with QC Kinetics. Get lasting relief from joint pain without surgery or drugs. QC Kinetics has clinics in Ponte Vedra and in Mandarin on San Jose. Call 904-274-5522. They've taken it to a whole new level with new medical director, Dr. Peter Atch, a renowned triple board certified doctor with decades of experience. Look, if you're tired of living with pain in your back, hips, shoulders, knees, don't let anyone tell you surgery is your only option. Call QC Kinetics for a free consultation. Call 904-274-5522. Learn how advanced regenerative medicine can get you real relief. Don't go under the knife. Don't deal with downtime. QC Kinetics takes the healing properties from your own body, concentrates them, and puts them into your affected joint to repair and restore the damaged tissue. QC Kinetics, call 904-274-5522.
This 1010XL 92.5 FM hour is powered by Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. Call 1-800-7473. That's 1-800-747-3733. It's Hacker After Dark on 1010XL. Now, another interview on the Farah and Farah phone line, brought to you by the accident attorneys at Farah and Farah.
Back here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM in the city of Jacksonville, we are glad you are with us. The week has arrived. The draft is Thursday night. The Jaguars hold the 24th pick in round number 1. As of right now, they have 9 draft picks in total. With that, let me welcome in my friend John Shipley of Jaguar Report. He's always kind enough to join us here on 1010XL in Jacksonville. John, it was a long time coming, but we're finally here, finally at draft week.
No, absolutely. I mean, I feel like you and I talked about how this offseason has gone by a little quick, but it feels like the last couple of weeks specifically have kind of really dragged on as the draft's gotten closer and closer. So I'm glad we're there, man. I really am.
John, I want to talk mostly about the draft with you, but the offseason program has begun, and I want to get 2 quick thoughts. Number 1, on Calvin Ridley. You were in the room when Calvin Ridley spoke to the media earlier this week. I was unbelievably impressed with what I heard from Calvin Ridley, and whether you want to call it cockiness or arrogance, whatever you want to call it, I thought it was kind of refreshing. I talked about this earlier, John, when Calvin Ridley said, I'm a 1,400-yard wide receiver with a broken foot, man. I mean, I'm a great football player, but he didn't say it with an arrogance to me. He said it like Stephon Diggs would say it in Buffalo, or like, a George Kittle would say it in San Francisco, and we just haven't had that sort of thing here in Jacksonville. What was your takeaway from Ridley?
Yeah, no, he, absolutely, he had a very confident air around him, but it seemed more like somebody who was, like you said, instead of bragging, it seemed like he was somebody who was at peace, and he was also very sure about, who he is and what he can do. I thought, I've covered a lot of Jaguars press conferences, since I've started covering a team in 2019, and I've seen a lot of players' first press conferences after being added to the team. In my opinion, he had, hands down the best, first impression in a press conference of any other player I've seen with the Jaguars. I mean, he came across not just charismatic and obviously confident, but he came across genuine. This isn't somebody, just trying to gas himself up. This is genuinely what he believes, and he came across, I thought, as somebody who, has grown up a lot in the last 2 years. I thought it was a home run in terms of press conference. I had somebody reply to me on Twitter afterward and say that it was kind of a run-of-the-mill press conference, and in my head, I'm like, I've seen some run-of-the-mill press conferences with the Jaguars, and that was not one. I'll take you some of Joe Schobert's 50 press conferences if you want to see run the mill. That was not one of them.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you. I was very impressed with what I heard Ridley say. And that gets me to Evan Ingram. John, he's not here. He can't be here. He hasn't signed the franchise tag yet. No long-term deal as well. Now, I know Trent Baalke last week said they're working towards that. They hope to have it done, I think he said, before camp. It's probably not an issue yet, but it's our job to at least bring things up, right? I mean, is there going to come a point this offseason that Ingram's not here where it will become an issue, in your opinion?
I really don't think so. I mean, obviously, when you get to the mandatory part of the offseason, everybody, wants the entire team to be there and whatnot. But, I mean, the nature of the NFL, it just doesn't happen. And I feel like guys, especially coaches and teammates, know that this is a business and that they got to do they got to take care of their business first. So I feel like, in terms of, is anybody inside the building going to be upset if he's not there, as the offseason drags on? I really don't think so. And again, this is a guy who, he had a giant role in the offense last year. So it's not like he's somebody who needs to learn a brand new offense. He's coming back into the same role. And he's also one of the most respected and well-liked guys, inside the locker room just for his work ethic. So the expectation, that they have is whenever he shows up, he'll be ready to go.
John Shipley of Jaguar Report. John, I haven't talked to you since Jaguars.com put out the first episode of The Hunt this year, which I think our colleagues at Jaguars.com do an absolutely terrific job with that. But they're not naive. And they knew the first 30 seconds of that episode was going to stand out almost anything else. And that was when Trent Baalke was talking about the clown figurine on his desk that he keeps almost there as motivation to remind him to prove people wrong, if you will. You've covered Baalke now your entire time on the beat here in Jacksonville. Were you surprised that he does that? And what was your thought on that and your thought on Baalke and the job he's done this offseason?
I wouldn't necessarily say, surprise. I think it would honestly probably be a bad thing if there wasn't some pressure, after that 2021 season. If he had gone about his business like usual and not thinking, okay, we need to turn this around quick, that'd probably be, the worst thing. And so not really surprised. Anybody out there who thinks GMs and, these people in front offices don't see things online, they see everything. They see absolutely everything. You would be amazed at, just how much these guys, really know. So it just, and also knowing, his personality and stuff, it doesn't, surprise me. I thought that was one of the really coolest parts of the episode, I mean, everybody, needs a motivator, and, if that's his motivator, then the Jaguars are better for it.
I've been blocked by many former Jaguars on Twitter, so I know they do see a lot. There is no question about that. All right, John, let's get to the draft. Let's get to the Jaguars in a moment. Thursday night could be a real changing of the guard, though, in the division. I mean, with Houston, 2 picks in the top 12, Indianapolis at 4, Tennessee at 11, but all the reports swirling around them, from Tannehill maybe being on the trade block to them trying to get into the top 10. I mean, John, we could realistically see every other team in the AFC South draft a quarterback on Thursday night. That would be insane.
It really would be. I mean, there's, if 3 of those teams take quarterbacks, then probably Ryan Tannehill starting next season. But that's 3 young guys for the next foreseeable future to compete with Trevor Lawrence. And honestly, if you're the Jaguars, that's best case scenario. I mean, I'm obviously no, quarterback expert. I had Zach Wilson was in my top 10 players, and when that draft came out, he was my number 3 quarterback. I had Mac Jones behind him. Mac Jones is clearly a much better quarterback than Zach Wilson, so I'm not a quarterback expert. But when I see this class, I don't see a year multiple quarterbacks who teams are going to be afraid of. I think Bryce Young could be that kind of maybe potential playmaker type, but he obviously has to beat the injury concerns. But then C.J. Stroud, I buy him not having an ultra high ceiling. Anthony Richardson has, obviously had issues with his accuracy. And then Will Levis, he has more turnovers than any other top quarterback in this draft. So I think if you're the Jaguars and you're seeing multiple, and obviously it won't be Bryce Young. So if you're seeing Stroud, Richardson, and Levis as the guys potentially added to this division, I don't think that really scares you.
It's interesting. I talk to a lot of national guys, and I ask them the same question. I think sometimes we're a little too close to it here, and that's myself included. But I can't help but get this feeling that, the AFC South in particular, it's weird. The Jaguars were 4-8 on Thanksgiving. and it was the same old, right? And then they win 6 in a row, and they ultimately go to the playoffs and have a great run. But, John, there will not be a publication that comes out in the next 2 months, not one, in my opinion, that doesn't have Jacksonville predicted to win the AFC South and probably predicted to win it by a relatively large margin. I mean, if you had to pinpoint right now the biggest competitor to the Jacksonville Jaguars in the South, what team would it be?
I still think it's Tennessee. I mean, even, last year in one of their down years, Mike Vrabel still had them, in it until the end. That last game they played against the Jaguars, that was a tough game. They were ready to play. Mike Vrabel, in my opinion, is one of the better, on-field coaches in the league, just in terms of how he's consistently turning out, winning efficient football teams despite lots of injuries and talent issues. So I think as long as the Titans have Mike Vrabel, as long as they have Derrick Henry, who, he's obviously getting older and wearing down some, but as long as they have those two guys, I think they're going to be the team to really worry about.
John Shipley of Jaguar Report. All right, John, let's get to the Jaguars. 9 picks in total at the time you and I are talking. That begins Thursday night with pick 24. I've seen you on social media. I think you're about as done with this as I am. I think you've talked about every possible scenario the Jaguars could go at number 24. Trent Baalke last week said 2 to 3 guys that he has in mind at 24. In your opinion, who do you believe those 2 or 3 guys are, or what positions are they?
Yeah, I think you got to think about. He said that they're confident that probably at least one of those guys will be there. So you have to think about guys who potentially be there. I really think those 3 guys, are Nolan Smith, Brian Branch, and Osiris Torrance. I think, Nolan Smith is the one I've gotten the most, feedback on. People, at least from fans saying they don't think he'll be there. You've seen him go as high as Philadelphia and Atlanta in some mocks. I don't think that's going to be the case. I really think Smith has a small chance of being there. Just, he's a sub 240-pound pass rusher. He's never had a lot of sacks at Georgia. He's coming off an injury. I think there's a chance that guy slides a little bit. So, maybe he does get picked, but if not, I think he's a bulky guy to a T. Just in terms of football character, he's probably at the very top of the list, in this class. He's a pure, culture guy. He was really the brains and the heart and soul of that Georgia defense. He can play the run. He can cover. He can pass. He can let Trayvon Walker be Trayvon Walker and stop, kind of doing this masquerading as a, outside linebacker, because we know that's what he's not. He needs to be moved around the formation, and Nolan Smith will allow that. Brian Branch, they've shown a ton of interest in him, pre-draft. Shea Townsend worked him out at his pro day. Obviously Baalke loves drafting the SEC, Alabama defensive backs. Balky's taken a nickel guy in the first round before in Jimmy Ward, so it's not like it's not a position he doesn't value. I think Branch could be there because, he doesn't have great size. He had, a below average combine. And, so he's not a Derwin James level defensive back, safety, nickel prospect. And even Derwin James went in the teens. So I think there's a chance you see Branch, be there at 24, if not a likelihood. And then the last guy, Torrance, they have connections to him. Their assistant defensive line coach, Roy Segrist, was on the Louisiana staff when Torrance was there under Billy Napier. Torrance, they obviously got to see him a ton up close while he played for Florida last year. He's one of the safer prospects, I think, in this class, and he'd fill a big need. And they talked about need fitting value, and Torrance and Branch are the 2 guys to me that makes sense there, because each of them, their value is probably right about there in the 20s, and they also would fill big needs along the team.
John Shipley of Jaguar Report. John, here's my question to you. I see a lot of people still say offensive tackle at 24. My response to that is this. Trevor's on a rookie deal. You got to get somebody that's going to help you this year. I understand looking to the future, but for the life of me, I cannot imagine a scenario where they draft somebody at 24 that does not play an important role for them in 2023. Your thoughts?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think if they drafted, a tackle early, that to me says that they would expect him to play somewhere along the offensive line. And, whether that means, Cam Robinson, moves to the spot, Walker Little does, that would really be, the big question is, how do you get your 5 best guys on the field? So I wouldn't disqualify offensive tackle just because I think they would still probably find a way to get them, onto the field. But I definitely agree. That's why I don't think they're going to pick a tight end in the first round. You need somebody who's going to help you right now. And the history of the tight end position, it's not going to produce a lot in year 1. So I'm with you. I think they need somebody who can help them, beat the Chiefs next week, not, 3 years.
final moments here, John. If it were you, if you were in that room on draft weekend, what would your 3 rounds be? First round, second round, third round. What needs, what positions would you address?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think that, when you're looking at the kind of questions the Jags will be facing, pass rusher, cornerback, offensive line are the biggest needs that they need to take. I think that those are the ones that right now are, screaming off the page. Ultimately, if I had to give you okay, this would be an ideal 3 rounds to me. I think Brian Branch in the first round. I think, potentially a guy falls in the second round, like a Will McDonald, potentially. I know you've seen him high up in mocks, but it wouldn't surprise me if you see him ended up getting drafted in the 50s instead. But if not him, maybe a guy like Auburn's Derek Hall, just somebody on the edge, one of those round 2 pass rushers. And then the third round, I'd go Carter Warren, Pittsburgh offensive tackle. He's probably going to be a top, 75, 100 pick. He has a lot of fans in the NFL right now. And the Jaguars had Phil Rauscher go to his pro day. So those to me, if you can get a nickel pass rusher to go along with Trayvon and Josh Allen, and then just somebody to reinforce the offensive line, I think you can call that, a solid draft.
John, they have cap room because they restructured a lot of deals. The rookie class will not cost as much as the amount of cap room that they have with Frank Clark and Jadeveon Clowney and Leonard Floyd and Justin Houston and all these guys at the pass rush position still out there. Are one of those guys going to be a Jaguar in the next month?
I really think that, that's definitely going to be something they address after the draft. Like you said, obviously you don't lose any comp picks if you sign people after the draft, and they're already talking about, they're planning on their comp picks being there. So it doesn't seem like they're going to, add somebody beforehand. I think you see them add a veteran pass rusher, whether it's going to be one of their names, Justin Houston, Van Noy, that, people see out there. I'm not sure, but I do think you see them add another guy. Maybe the other guy's DeJuan Smoot. That would obviously come with its own pair of questions, but I do think they add somebody after the draft.
John, what do you have coming up at Jaguar Report over the next couple of days leading up to the draft?
Yeah, no, I'm going to give. Obviously, I did it last year. Last year it was. I felt like I won and lost the draft process because, you look back, I felt like I was one of the first people to say, hey, maybe Trayvon Walker should be talked about in first overall. He fits a lot of Trent Baalke's stuff that he looks for. But I still went with mocking Aiden Hutchinson all the way until my final mock. Each draft, I try to put out a final, first-round mock a day or 2 before the draft and give my final Jaguars prediction. And so that's going to come out this year, who I really believe that they're going to take, along with some other predictions, stuff like that. But just gearing up for the draft. Most of my big stuff I've made sure to put out beforehand.
John Shipley does a terrific job covering the Jaguars for Jaguar Report, and he's always with us here on 1010XL in Jacksonville. John, enjoy the draft, my friend. We'll talk again soon.
Hey, thank you, brother. Have a good one, man.
What's that? Find 1010XL on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram by searching 1010XL and follow the conversation on social media because listening at the dinner table would be rude.
Here's Linda Beaver.
Did you hear what's happening? Beaver Toyota and Beaver Chevrolet are spring cleaning. New inventory on the ground means the old has to go. Take advantage of the lowest prices of the new year by saving thousands on thousands of vehicles priced to sell. New and pre-owned prices have been reduced, and all sales associates have been instructed to give maximum value on all trades. But you better hurry. That's right. Best deals go first. Head to Beaver Toyota in St. Augustine or Beaver Chevrolet in Jacksonville to take advantage of the spring cleaning sale. We're here to wow you.
Men, if you're struggling with erectile dysfunction or PE and frustrated taking pills that don't work, Prime Men's Medical Center offers breakthrough medical treatments that effectively treat your problem. 98% of patients experience immediate results during their first office visit. And for a limited time, your initial consultation and first treatment are completely free. Listen to a specialist in men's health.
I'm Dr. Rubinsky. The physicians at Prime Men's Medical Center offer the most advanced treatments that eliminate ED and PE. Now men are lasting 30, 60, 90 minutes or longer, regardless of age or medical history.
Guys, to eliminate your frustration in the bedroom, call Prime Men's Medical Center now to take advantage of this exclusive limited-time offer. Your initial consultation and first treatment are totally free, and you'll see instant results right in the office. Call now, 904-664-8217. 904-664-8217. That's 904-664-8217.
This is Hayes Carline for Kingfish Pest Control. Look, warmer weather now means mosquito, flea, and tick season is here. These pests are out for blood, but you don't have to let them win. Protect your home and family with Kingfish Pest Control. As a Kingfish customer myself, I know their products are safe for kids and pets. Plus, with a 100% satisfaction guarantee, you can relax knowing your yard is pest-free. Call today, mention the Jags to receive 10% off your initial service. That's Kingfish Pest Control, proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Jacksonville has some junk, and J-Dog is removing it. They're here to do the dirty work. You don't want to remove and dispose of large furniture or appliances yourself? Call J-Dog. Here now, proudly serving you, removing junk from your home or business. They can even handle small demolition projects, and they're still donating local items to veterans in need. So let J-Dog do the dirty work for you. J-Dog Junk Removal. Veteran-owned and operated. JDog.com.
I open the door and take you inside the locker room to get you closer to the field, the players and coaches you care about.
Get a look at Hayes' blog on 1010XL.com.
My blog is brought to you by Roland Reach Plumbing,
where quality and experience count.
This is Keith Catlin for Catlin Truck Accessories, and we are so blessed to be in business for over 100 years. Over 100 years of the best product and customer service means you can count on Catlin. From Roll and Lock bed covers to Lear toppers to Cam Locker toolboxes, Catlin Truck Accessories has you covered when it comes to your truck or van. We do those too. Got a fleet of vehicles? We can outfit them all.
Who can you count on? Count on Catlin.
One name, one location, 100 years. You can count on Catlin.
Mike Duraco here for Clearwater Irrigation and Drainage. Let me tell you, I had a bad standing water issue on my front sidewalk, and John Haney and his crew came in and completely solved it. Their service division fixed my sprinkler system too. We all know these guys singing is terrible, but their service is excellent.
Clearwater Irrigation. We can't sing a lick, but we sure are good at sprinklers. All right, Mike.
And drainage too.
ClearwaterJacks.com.
Are you a meat lover searching for quality cuts? Southern Steer Butcher uses a vacuum tumbler to marinate and tenderize our chicken and world-famous steak tips.
Now open in Ortega. For tasty tips and juicy breasts, choose Southern Steer Butcher.
Don't suffer another day with cheap box store cornhole boards. Order your custom luxury boards from Mystic Cornhole Company right here in Jax. Ask about pro-level bags, lights, score stands, and other accessories. And score with Mystic Cornhole Company.
Beaches Jewelry and Pawn is ready to help. If you need extra cash or a quick loan, Beaches Jewelry and Pawn has cash in hand. They also love to buy items of value. They need gold, silver coins, and flatware, jewelry, guitars, and of course, guns.
Serving the First Coast for over 20 years, Instant Keys offers honest, professional locksmith service for the replacement of lost, stolen, or broken keys and remotes. Get dealer-level service at a fraction of the time and cost. Call Instant Keys, 722-1111.
Mark Watson with Hardball Creative. Youth sports are getting back into full swing, so you know what that means. Custom Yetis so dads can keep their beer or sodas cold. Check them out at hardballcreative.com.
Hardball Creative. Hardball does it all.
Attention golfers, Hidden Hills Golf Club has become an attractive destination for golfers all over North Florida. You too will enjoy our classic Arnold Palmer design that'll test your game and keep you coming back. Book a tee time today at hiddenhillsgc.com.
This 1010XL 92.5 FM hour is powered by Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. Call 1-800-747-FREE. That's 1-800-747-3733. This is Hacker After Dark on 1010XL. Now, another interview on the Farah and Farah phone line. Brought to you by the Accident Attorneys at Farah and Farah.
Back here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM in the city of Jacksonville. It is a Tuesday evening, and we are glad you are with us. The NFL Draft, less than 48 hours away. We'll talk a little NFL Draft, but there's a couple of things going on in the world of college football that make you scratch your head a little bit. What am I talking about? Well, let's get into it with my friend Brent Beard. You see him locally on First Coast News, and he's always kind enough to join us here on Hacker After Dark. Mr. Beard, how are you, sir?
Well, doing fine. Good to be with you again, and a lot of stuff going on. College football playoff meetings this week, legislation on the first downs, and then you've got individual stuff with the teams, and we can't forget the transfer portal hack is open until April the 30th, so that's still out there.
Really quick on that. The Colorado Buffaloes had their spring game on Saturday. 18 guys entered the portal since that spring game. That's insanity to me. I read a story of, like, the 83 scholarship players that were there when Deion Sanders took over. Like 60 of those guys will not be on the team come September. And by the way, the ESPN Love Fest that they gave Colorado this past weekend, give me a break. If that makes me an SEC homer, so be it. But good heavens, I can't wait till September gets here and Colorado loses to TCU by 30, and then maybe we won't have to hear about them much longer.
That's a team that's going to be probably about 3-9, but they'll have all this hype. Basically, what Prime is doing is just cleaning house, and he just wants to free up scholarships so he can bring different players in there. I mean, the question is, frankly, how long is he going to be at Colorado anyway, even if he has a little bit of success? But that will be blown way out of proportion. We still really don't know if Prime can coach or not. He's a young guy in the profession. He's not a young guy, but he's a young guy in the profession. So those are things that, and I agree totally, way overblown, just way too much ridiculous hype. And I'll tell you this, too, and this is a sermon on another day, the SEC really needs to get his act together on spring games. It's frankly inexcusable to have as many spring games as they had on ESPN or SEC Network Plus. Fans want to see those spring games. They'll watch the replays. I get all that. But, look, there's nothing that can't be said that you can't have back-to-back spring games at 12 and 2 and then have baseball and softball to follow.
I agree, and with so many channel options from ESPNU to ESPN, ESPN2, SEC Network, to not have any available space to put any of these spring games on regular television, I thought was also pretty ridiculous. Quickly to Florida, because I want to get into some SEC off-the-field issues that'll translate on the field. We'll get to that in a moment. But Xavier Henderson, Brent, also finds himself in the transfer portal. That's another one that kind of I looked at and I said, all right. They lost a lot of guys to the portal, but a lot of guys that weren't going to play or have that big of an impact in 2023. That's not the case with Henderson. He would have had an impact. So I think that's a loss for Florida, and my assumption probably is maybe he saw the writing on the wall with all those young receivers coming in.
Maybe. Yeah, but still, to your point, and it's a good one, he caught 73 passes for nearly 1,000 yards in his career. And look, the other thing is, at the spring game, he bailed the quarterbacks out 2 or 3 times. That he saved them he was able to make some good catches, and edge defender Antoine Powell-Ryland is heading out too. And he played in 25 games. So yeah, there's no doubt you still got a certain amount of heading out the door and people coming in, and I think you'll see that Florida, and I don't blame Billy Napier, but they're going to be very active in the portal. I think probably the rest of the week.
You see Brent Beard on First Coast News. You also get him right here on Hacker After Dark. Brent, to the off-the-field issues that will translate on the field. Let's begin with the SEC. They're not happy about the field storming by the fans. Last year, Tennessee, Alabama, an emotional game, a huge win for the Volunteers, but there was some issues with all those fans coming on the field while the Alabama players were leaving. Maybe this is a get-off-my-lawn moment here, Brent, but I've never been a big fan of storming the field after a big win. Act like you've been there before. Here's my thing, though. The SEC is looking to get rid of that, and they're throwing out ideas, including potentially taking away a future home game from a team that's fan base does that. mean, that's insane, right?
That's just big talk. That'll never happen. Translated, that is Greg Sankey's way of saying, guys, get your act together in keeping people off the field so that we don't have to come up with the penalty phase of this. But no, that's just not going to happen. Frankly, the thing that would be more effective than that would be a big fine, because these schools don't want to lose money. So in rivalry games like that, as it gets to the fourth quarter and there's a possibility of that happening, I mean, what do they do, Hank? I wonder, do they just hire that many more security and surround the field? Now, obviously, you also don't want to fight between security and fans. I think you'll see some things probably different times during the game. The announcement of storming the field will be strictly prohibited will probably be repeated multiple times.
And here's the thing with me, all right? And I'm all for having fun. I mean, I was in my 20s once, Brent. I understand having fun at college games, all right? I get it. But if you were to talk to a non-football fan and you were to say, all right, these college athletes are going to battle for 3.5 hours. It's going to be an emotional game. It's going to be a game that probably comes down to the final seconds. And then we're going to let 30,000 liquored up fans run onto the field reenacting William Wallace and Braveheart while the other team is trying to get off the field safely. They're going to look at you like you're crazy. I mean, the fact that this still goes on in college football, to me, is nuts.
Yeah, I agree with that. But the thing, obviously, liability is so important to these conferences, and they're so concerned that that the goalpost is going to fall on someone, or someone's going to get trampled, something of that effect, or that you're going to have a melee between the team that lost and the fans that won.
I'm amazed that hasn't happened yet, by the way.
I am
amazed.
Yeah, I am too. And so I think, and look, people are laughing at this, but I can tell you that this is going to happen. It won't be a major subject, but this will draw some discussion when everybody meets in Destin coming up next month.
You get Brent Beard on First Coast News. You also get him here on 1010XL. All right, the other big piece of college news, and to my knowledge, this has already been passed. I mean, this is going to happen. No more clock stoppages after first downs in college football. The exception is under 2 minutes in the second quarter and the fourth quarter. But from now on, other than those 2-minute intervals in the second quarter and the fourth quarter, a first down will no longer stop the clock. Brent, to me, it's obvious. College football's too long. We've talked about it, and they're looking for any way to speed the game up a little bit.
And I can really see that this will be ignored early because, I mean, you throw a pass for a first down on the first play, and there's still, 14:52 left on the clock, and the clock's running. Fans won't pay much attention to that. The problem is going to be when your team's behind and you're on defense, and that clock's running in the fourth quarter. That's when it's going to get a little bit iffy. But yes, the playing rules oversight panel is where this came from. They made the recommendation, so this is going to happen now for odd reasons. Division III is not going to do this, but Division I and II are. So we'll let Division III hash that out. But the amazing thing about this is stopping the clock after first downs. That's been going on since 1968. So that's quite a change, is it not, for people and SEC fans who often don't want change during this time. Now, Steve Shaw, that name is familiar for officials. He now is more an administrator than an official. What he says is allowing the clock to run is expected to reduce the number of plays by 7. So, will that make that much difference? We don't know. We'll just have to wait and see. Now, they're also expecting to approve the 2 other recommendations from the Rules Committee, prohibiting consecutive timeouts, which is smart. That's just icing the kicker is all that is. And penalties at the end of the first and third quarter are being enforced on the first play of the next quarter. So those are 2 things that still to be ironed out, but the clock running after a first down is going to happen.
Yeah, and I don't mind it. I remember the one year they did that nonsense of they started the clock after a kickoff before the ball was even snapped for the first play of the drive. I hated that. Right. The other option I saw was keep the clock running after an incompletion. Are you kidding me? And the logic there was, well, back when that rule is adapted, they're throwing the ball 25 times a game. Now the ball is being thrown 75 times a game, and that keeps the game going longer. That functionally changes the game. All right? Yeah. At least they're adopting an NFL rule. The NFL keeps the clock running after a first down. They also have the clock stop after an incompletion. So all college is doing is catching up to what the National Football League has been doing for years. Speaking of that, Mr. Brent Beard, Thursday night is the draft, and a lot of SEC guys are going to hear their names called very, very early. I want to end with the quarterbacks, but if you look at mock drafts, Brent, a lot of mock drafts, a lot of Jaguar fans here in the city of Jacksonville seem to like and want this kid, Brian Branch, from Alabama. You have Alabama blood pouring through your veins. You're from that state. You went to school there. Your brother does radio out there. Give Jaguar fans listening tonight a little insight on Brian Branch, the corner/safety from Alabama. That's a popular name in these parts right now.
He's more of a safety than he is a corner. His cover skills need to be developed, but he can make a lot of hits. The thing Branch is able to do is he can make big plays. And the most valuable player on defense last year for Alabama was not Will Anderson. It was Brian Branch because he was more effective. Anderson, as good as he is, and not as many numbers as he piles up, really had very few big plays last year. Branch had bigger plays, frankly, than Anderson did last year. A solid player. He is, if you want somebody who can cover the run, make a good hit. He's good at intercepting the ball. He has been coached, obviously, by one of the best. Look, Nick Saban still coaches the DBs in Alabama. That'll never change. And I'll say this, knowing their draft history, this would be one of the guys who would be more ready to play immediately than a lot of them they've ever drafted.
I saw an interesting comparison with Branch. His NFL comp was Minkah Fitzpatrick, another former Alabama player. Is there, in your opinion, any credibility to that?
Oh, yeah, probably so. Minkah is the gold standard in a lot of ways in Alabama. Now, the McKinstry kid in Alabama now is going to be compared to him before it's over, and Caleb Downs, the freshman, is going to be able to be in the same thing. But to have your name compared to in the same sentence with Minkah in Alabama is quite a compliment.
Final moments here with Brent Beard. You get him on First Coast News. You also get him right here on Hacker After Dark. Brent, 4 SEC quarterbacks are likely to hear their name called on Thursday night. Bryce Young, Anthony Richardson, Will Levis, and probably Hendon Hooker from Tennessee. A quick thought on each. Let's go rapid fire. Is Bryce Young going to be a good pro?
Yes. Yeah, and he needs to be number 1 pick. This foolishness about him being 5'10", that being a problem, is just talk. The thing he does, Hack, is he is able to survey the field and process information probably as quicker than any quarterback Alabama's ever had. So he So this size stuff is just foolishness. When he's healthy, he makes incredible throws, and not because he's from Alabama, but because to me he's the best quarterback of the draft.
Yeah, people talked about Drew Brees and Russell Wilson's size. That didn't seem to bother them very much, as they're both going to be in Canton, Ohio one day. Mixed reviews on Will Levis and Anthony Richardson, maybe two of the most polarizing guys on Thursday night.
No way in the world that I would draft Anthony Richardson in the top 10. There are just too many questions. Look, you and I have had this discussion, and we both agree. The tape tells you what you need to know. Will he get different, better coaching in the NFL? Of course he will. But this is not going to happen overnight. And look, to me, if you're not accurate right now, are you going to be accurate later? Now, Jalen Hurts proved that differently. I give him credit with that. So he's a great athlete, and if you've got time to develop him, you could draft him and do well. Everybody wants Levis to be Josh Allen. I'm not sure that's going to happen. Now, he is a tremendous specimen. He's a big, strong kid. Deserves a lot of credit, frankly, for what he's done. But I'm not convinced that he is a top 5 pick at this point either. Terrible offensive line at Kentucky, some questionable receivers. I think eventually he'll be a really good pro. I don't think it's going to be immediate. Look, I would draft Hendon Hooker before I drafted a lot of these guys we've talked about. Frankly, and I've heard all this stuff about 25 years old. That doesn't make a hill of beans as far as what he's capable of doing. So, I mean, if you ask me in order for that, I would give you Bryce Young, Hendon Hooker, Will Levis, and Anthony Richardson.
Yeah, and look, just a testament again to the Southeastern Conference that you're once again going to have all these guys going super high again in the National Football League draft. Mr. Brent Beard, you get him on First Coast News. You also get him right here on Hacker After Dark. Brent, next week we'll take it off because I'll be in the Caribbean sipping on a pina colada. I'll be thinking of you next Tuesday. But we'll reconvene in a couple of weeks, and we'll rehash the draft and begin look ahead to summer conditioning, which is right around the corner. Boy, it is. There's no doubt about that. Transfer portal it will be closing. We'll certainly talk about that when you get back. And again, we'll be in the merry month of May, which means meetings in Destin that are going to be very important this year. And just a caveat here, those preseason magazines coming out in May too, Hack. Okay? Oh, that is a summer holiday for Mr. Brent Beard when those magazines come out. There is no question about that. Brent, have a good couple of weeks. We'll talk soon. I look forward to it, pal. Take care. And thank you to my friend Brent Beard. You see him on First Coast News. You also get him weekly right here on Hacker After Dark, as we are now well inside of 48 hours till the National Football League draft on Thursday night. Of course, the Jaguars hold the 24th pick in round number 1. Appreciate Brent talking draft and talking some crazy things on the horizon potentially in the world of college football. From if you storm the field, you might lose a future home game. I cannot imagine a scenario where that's actually going to happen. That's at least being floated out there. Also, the clock no longer stopping on first down unless you're inside of 2 minutes in the second quarter or the fourth quarter, as they're trying to speed the game up. Games are getting too long. You see what Major League Baseball is doing, trying to speed their game up. College football looking to do something very similar. Well, that'll just about do it on what has been a very busy Tuesday night edition of Hacker After Dark here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM. Thank you guys for staying up late with us here on a Tuesday night. We got a lot of people to thank. Again, Brent Beard of First Coast News. You get him weekly here on 1010XL. Thank you to Brian Braddock, the head coach of the St. Augustine Yellow Jackets high school football program, as they get set for spring football coming up in just a matter of days. John Shipley of Jaguar Report joined us tonight as well, to look at the Jaguars draft and the rest of the AFC South. And back in hour number 1, J.P. Shadrick, Jaguars.com. Of course, Jaguars.com will have you covered Thursday, Friday, and Saturday with draft coverage as the Jaguars not only hold the 24th pick in round number 1, they have 9 draft picks in total over Thursday night, Friday night, and Saturday. We will be back tomorrow night on a Wednesday, and we will do it all over again beginning at 8 o'clock. Dylan Denmark was your producer tonight. Dylan, great job as always. I'm the hacker Ryan Green. And Jacksonville, thank you for staying up late with us on a Tuesday night here on Hacker After Dark on 1010XL and 92.5 FM. So for all of us here on HAD, have an absolutely terrific remainder of your Tuesday night. And we will talk to you again tomorrow night on a Wednesday beginning at 8 o'clock. Until then, good night, Jacksonville.
Radio professionals.
Facial.
That's just me not being able to speak.
Holy smokes.
Yeah. Hey, buddy, I've only been doing this for 20 years.
Achievers dash for...
That's ridiculous.
1010XL.
One more time, I promise.
Hi, this is Dave Barker. Want to grow your hair back?
IHRS, right here in Jacksonville, is the only hair transplant clinic in the Southeast to offer multi-unit hair grafting and the 45-minute PRP treatments. Grow your hair back. Call now for a free in-person